I feel like there's something wrong with me. And that's because I've just spent a week with the C8 Corvette and I don't love it. Now I should back up first because I want to tell you that this is a very, very good car. It is exceptional at what it does, and it is amazing at the price point in which it's being offered. This is a 2020 Chevrolet Corvette, the C8, the all-new 8th generation car. And this is the evolution. This is the mid-engine one. This is where Chevy wants to push this car for the future. It says it's done all it can with the technology available on front-engine rear-wheel drive cars. And I get that, I understand it, I know what they're trying to do here. And I think they've done it because it's pretty wild. And this is basically the entry-level Corvette, even though this is a Z51. I don't think you're gonna see a lot of non-Z51 cars. The $59,000 Corvette. This one is pretty loaded. This is a 3LT Z51 car. So as tested, this is $86,000. And even there, it is one hell of a sports car bargain because this thing does supercar-like numbers. Current driver tested one of these 0 to 60 time 2.8 seconds. Wild. I think the quarter mile is just over 11 or something like that. It's nearly as quick as a GT500, or just as quick, depending on who's driving which vehicles. Seems a bit expensive. But something is missing for me here, and I'm struggling to find out what that is because on paper, this thing is fantastic. In person, it is polarizing in terms of how it looks. It's very cool from some angles and tougher from others. The rear end is oddly squared off. From the front three-quarter, it kind of looks like an Acura NSX, which isn't a bad thing. It's just, it looks a lot like an Acura NSX. I don't think this Sebring orange paint helps that fact, nor do I think the wheels do. And there are not really a lot of good wheel options on the C8 Corvette, which is weird. I feel like I'm mentally waiting for the Z06. I feel like that's the problem. We've heard these rumors of there's a flat plane crank version coming, 5.5 liter V8 version. There's a hybrid 1,000 horsepower crazy version coming. This is 495 horsepower from a 6.2 liter V8 engine and an 8-speed dual clutch automatic gearbox driving the rear wheels. Seems like a recipe for no nonsense, mindless success, right? And it should be. This one has magnetic suspension. This one has different driving modes. This one it has competition seats, which I actually don't really like. They're a little bit too tight. They'd probably be wonderful on a racetrack, but at 6'3" and with my hips, I don't know. I drop it down a level, and I'd like to see what the GT2 seats are all about. There's GT1 seats, standard seats. These competition seats, you just be a little bit more slight to fit more comfortably in here. But back to the car, why I'm having weird issues with it. I don't know. I keep coming back to that fact that I don't know. It should be louder than it is with this dual mode exhaust. It is loud if you flat foot it, but it feels like the exhaust has this progressive scale of loudness. I wish it was just normal, okay, loud, and then always awesome, loud, just those two modes, but it's just like this scale of loudness, and I don't like that. If I want it to be loud around town, be loud at all different levels of the throttle. If I want it to be quiet, then be quiet, that's fine. There's weird concessions and compromises being made that I don't think need to be made here. Now, in terms of the fit and finish, this is the nicest Corvette ever, no question about it. The stitching here is excellent. The steering wheel, even though it's kind of goofy that it's a square, a little gimmicky, it feels good in your hands. When I first saw the very driver-focused cockpit here with the, you're basically walled off from your passenger, which is hilarious to me. But this isn't as crazy in person as I thought it would be in pictures and first hearing about it. I mean, because you're not using these buttons all the time since it's mostly climate control based stuff. I mean, it's almost it is all climate control. So you're only using that on occasion. You set it and then you're good to go. The rest of the stuff happens on the touchscreen, which is responsive and easy to use and nicely placed for your vision. You have a clear head-up display, and then the customizable gauge disc cluster shows you as much or as little as you want from there as well. Now on top of that, there are different driving modes, but the main way to access them is this wheel that's kind of tucked, this knob tucked under this leather thing over here, which is kind of odd. It's awkward, the way you use it and turn it. And it's hefty for no reason. Normally you like heft and some buttons and knobs, but that one, I don't know. I just don't think it needs to be there. However, there's a solution, and that is to set up what Chevy calls Z mode, where you just set a bunch of settings and then there's a button. So as soon as you get in the car, you press Z mode and it's how you want it anyway. And then there's another customizable mode called My Mode, which Chevy would want you to use for like an around town, everyday mode, and the car will be set to that one when you get into it. But I didn't even bother with that. I just set Z mode, press the button, good to go. If you owned it, you would probably set them both up differently. But I just want I was gonna make it my MTV joke, but nobody would get that because I'm old now. So Z mode, set it, forget it, you're good to go. There's track, there's sport, there's all. Well, actually, let's go through them while I'm sitting here. So My Mode with one turn of the wheel to the left is weather. Is there anything past that? No. So go back to the right, you get touring, you get sport, then you get track. It totally changes the display, both the head-up display. Oh, the steering just got way heavier in track. If I go one more, nope, so track's as far as it'll go that way, weather's as far as it'll go that way. But I just put Z, put it back where I want it. I lightened up the steering because I don't need it is really heavy steering in track mode. But the suspension is damped well. I softened it up. In track it gets a little stiff, but I am not on a track. I've got bumps on this road, so I want it to be responsive and kind. But this car is very customizable, very adjustable, very 21st century Corvette, as silly as that is to say, but I don't know if that takes away some of the charm of what the Corvette is. I mean, Chevy engineers must be kicking themselves hearing that sort of thing. We've wanted to bring the Corvette into the modern day for so long, and then they do it, and everybody's kind of like, I have my issues. So, it's quick, it's fast, it's responsive, it's a great mid-engine sports car. It's killing me. I feel like it's me, not the car, that. So like when you get on it, the engine sounds awesome. It sounds like a proper, like NASCAR spec note back there. Sometimes, but it's only when you're most diving into it. Like if I'm just at part throttle, you get part exhaust noise. If I'm in this mode, I want aggressive exhaust noise all the time. It's reduced me to picking nits, but I feel like this is a great starting place, and that's really what the Stingray is. It's a starting place. It's not the Grand Sport, it's not the Z06, it's not the ZR1 or the Zorro, whatever they're going to call the top spec car. Starting here is great. Weight distribution is great. I know some people have issues with the brake feel. I'm not pushing it hard enough to get that. Let me downshift. Oh, it won't let me because I'm already kind of revving out third. So like right there, I mean, it sounds good when you're caning it, but then it just goes real quiet again. And if I was in a mode to do that, I would want that, but I'm not. I'm in the shoutier mode of the active exhaust. And it's not just the exhaust. I feel like I'm going on with the exhaust a lot. Because I gotta say, like again, for the numbers, this car is amazing. For the price, even as tested at $86,000, this thing is insanely quick off the line. It's fast everywhere you test it. It's the nicest Corvette ever built. It has a nose lift system so you can get in and out of your garage without scraping the bottom of it. It's comfortable inside, even though these competition seats are a little tight, but that's me. That's not, someone else smaller or slighter would spec it that way. This is good. This is good. And for 2021, I've heard they've added wireless CarPlay and Android Auto instead of just being wired. There's a charger, wireless charger here for your phone. The push button gear selector makes sense, and it's simple and easy to use. It's hard to explain. I don't dislike the car. I do not dislike the car. I just don't love it. It's really good. And again, I think this is me. And I do hope this attracts more people to the Corvette family. I'm in wait and see mode. Let's see what happens with the Z06. To sum up, because I've said it 100 times, but I feel like I'm doing the car a disservice. I feel like I should love this car. I just don't. It's really good. I just don't love it.